I'm not sure I have the energy for this one, and I'm not sure if you have the bandwidth, but let's give it a try. This is Paul Walker, and he supposedly died 11 years ago in a single car, fiery car crash. But if you've seen any of my videos, you know I don't really believe what the mainstream tells us. So I started doing what I do, and I started digging. And one of the only movies I really know of Paul Walker in was from Varsity Blues. His name just happened to be Lance, which rhymes with Vance. And as I started to look at the familiarity of their faces, something started to click. I started thinking, well, what if we added a little darker hair here? And then we filled out his face a little bit. And then maybe we added some facial hair. And all of a sudden, it started to become pretty clear. Pretty clear that maybe that hunch was more than a hunch. So I started trying to dot those I's and cross those T's, and they kept lining up pretty well, in fact. But looking similar and having very symmetrical faces wasn't enough for me, so I kept looking. Fact check. Algerian women's boxer is not a transgender athlete. Oh, the athlete that looks suspiciously like a certain ex-NFL quarterback that wouldn't stand for a certain national anthem, an awful lot like him. But I'm reaching, bro. This is a little too far. You know, they don't do those things, and they don't even look alike, especially their noses and smiles and mannerisms and postures. And well, they're not similar here. One salutes and the other kneels. But they do share one very unique set of birthmarks. It's okay. You'll be all right. I promise. You'll be okay. The world, and especially the TV, is a stage. And the sooner you figure that out, the better off you'll be. Just listen to me. I'm just trying to help. Because unlike some of those other guys out there, I have no agendas. Just care. Care and love about humanity, and I'm sick of seeing us all be deceived. For entertainment purposes, of course. Nah, couldn't be. I mean, he's got these shiny pearly whites. I mean, look at these things. They're perfect. Perfect white teeth. Not like Jimmy's all mangled. He's got goofy looking teeth. Right? Like that one looks like it's going back behind and eventually is gonna look kind of like his real teeth. But I mean, Morgan Freeman's got all these freckles. All those freckles we would clearly notice on. Wait, people have freckles in the same spots. I mean, so they look alike and sit alike and have similar teeth and freckles. But, I mean, if it was really him, they would tell us because they put the truth right in plain sight.
Costume that looked like a harem type thing, you know, with sash and blousey, and I had a huge fro, and they put a band around my head, and I walk out on stage, first preview, audience, I guess it was preview. The free theater doesn't have previews, do they?
Yeah.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
First preview. Then was the first time they had an audience, and I walk out on stage, and somebody way in the back said, "Sing Purple Haze."
It's not a good start to Othello, is it?
Oh, Purple Haze, Jimmy's most famous song. And I wonder when he stopped producing music because he died and Morgan Freeman came on the scene. I wonder, those couldn't be, there's got to be evidence that they're not the same there, right? Okay, he died September 1970. Okay. Oh, and Morgan Freeman's first role was in 1971. How convenient. You guys know I don't really think that Hollywood and the music industry and the government are just cycling through the same people over and over again to have a smaller system of control over your minds. I don't really think that. All for entertainment purposes. Do you want the inside dirt on how your kids are being indoctrinated in public schools? Well, stick around, because if you didn't know it, I was a teacher for 20 years. It's really quite simple. In fact, brilliant. They give the illusion that you are able to think freely, but you're not. Your choices are predetermined, and then they guide you in a way where you think you're getting to think. So what do I mean by this? Well, they give you the illusion of choice. Right, left, do a flip, whatever you want. As long as you get to the door they want you to walk through, you get rewarded. It's kind of like that thing people line up to get in a box for every 4 years. Same thing. And then you get rewarded with that nice shiny sticker thinking you got a choice. They even have a fancy name for it in schools. It's called Understanding by Design. And not all schools use this exact thing, but they all use some form of it. Then let me show you how this works. You start backwards. You start at the end result. What do you want the kids to know? Let's give an example. I want the kids to know that the Earth is a donut. All right, so we want to prove the Earth is a donut. So then the teacher decides what's acceptable evidence for the kids to prove it's a donut. Okay, maybe it tastes like a donut. Maybe there's some rounded corners, whatever. The teacher sets those expectations of what proves that it's a donut. And then based on that, you plan your learning activities. And it's literally that simple, because there's never, ever any questioning if the Earth is the donut. You have to prove the Earth is a donut if you want the A. And you have to figure out the ways to do that to get the A. So there's no thinking, there's no questioning, there's no discussing possible outcomes. It's the Earth is a freaking donut, and if you don't figure that out somehow, some way, you fail. So if you might guess, kids get really good at memorizing and regurgitating the information that is going to prove that the Earth is a donut, because if they don't, well, they get left behind. And the teachers are handcuffed, because even if they don't think the Earth is the donut, if they don't go along with the curriculum, guess what? They don't have a job. And the exact same thing is true for administration. If you want an administrative job, you better agree with the process and the Understanding by Design whole layout. And even if you don't, and you have these intentions to make change, guess what? You're not going to be around long if you try to make change. And while the students and the teachers and even the administration are all well-meaning, none of them are going forward unless they fit into the system that is controlled from the top. And when you look where the top originated from, the School Board of Education back in 1908 was founded by John D. Rockefeller, a wealthy oil tycoon who cared about business and power and making a nation of workers, not thinkers. And if you want even more dirt, you just need to dig into who supplies the textbooks, and that McGraw-Hill supply all the public school textbooks. And well, they just happen to be partners with Robert Maxwell, a guy who was really, really dirty and evil. A guy whose family was just filled with secrecy and scandal and conspiracy. A guy whose family is so questionable that he even has ties to Epstein because his daughter is Ghislaine Maxwell. So like I said in the beginning, it's really that simple. You give the illusion of free thinking, the illusion of control of choice and thought, and then you fill people with a whole lot of lies. Because if you can convince people that they live on a donut from a very young age, well, then they're going to be very easy to manipulate for the rest of their lives. And if you can especially convince them that they live on a donut that exploded from nothing and that they are just insignificant pieces of dust flying in a universe of infinite donuts, well, then you can not only control them, but get them to not understand who they even are. And that's when you get true power over them. When someone doesn't even know who they are, how can they have any power? But that's what I'm here for, trying to give you all your power back. I have no agendas but to help. And as always, This was all for entertainment purposes. I know the Earth isn't a donut. In fact, I know we live on a spinning globe and that every single public school is just out doing the right thing, good intentioned, not at all controlling the youth and their minds. Have a nice day. Entertainment only. Wait, I just gotta clarify something here. So because I don't think this is real, and I don't think the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour on its axis and 67,000 miles per hour around the sun and 400,000 miles per hour through the galaxy. And I don't think there's any curvature to this place we call Earth. And I don't think water can magically curve over distances. And I don't think I can see Chicago from 60 miles away across Lake Michigan because it's a mirage. And when I look up and I see the stars moving and the moon and the sun moving, I actually think it's those things moving and not us rotating 1,000 miles per hour. All those things I think make me the crazy one. Literally, they make me the crazy one. Well, why don't we just look at what you believe in? You believe that NASA just happened to find a nebula in space that looks exactly like a Christmas tree on December 23rd. And you believe that the shading in the planet Pluto just happens to resemble exactly the dog Pluto. And you believe that there is currently a car, a Tesla car with a dummy in it, revolving in orbit around the Earth. And you also think that Uranus just happens to smell like farts. I mean, come on. And that Saturn has these hexagonal shapes in it. And you believe Saturn's moon is shaped like a walnut, and that this face is actually on Mars. And the most recent one today, they just happen to know that there's a layer of diamonds 10 miles thick in the planet Mercury. Do you know the deepest we have ever drilled into Earth is only 8 miles? Yet somehow they know there are diamonds on Mercury. So because I believe what my eyes tell me, and what my senses tell me, and what my logic tells me, I'm the crazy guy. And you believe what the TV tells you, and the guys in white coats tell you, and the guys in those 3- and 4-letter organizations tell you, and what NASA tells you. So you can keep on believing what they tell you, or you can run tests and experiments and actually try to see and experience things yourself. Truth doesn't need excuses. Truth is just truth. It doesn't need things like gravity and mirages and so many years ago that it doesn't make any sense to you, or so far away that you just can't comprehend and just assume they're right. So like I said in the beginning, am I really the crazy one? You might want to reconsider. Of course I know Uranus smells like farts, and of course I know that they know that. They know these things because they have advanced scientific technology. This is all for entertainment purposes. I know USA Today would never try to deceive you. Entertainment only. Have you seen this video where Elvis literally shapeshifts after he kisses this little girl?
From the Sioux Nation.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And just for reference, before I let you watch his entourage run over and try to hide him from the camera, his normal eyes and what happened to his eyes after he kissed that little girl.
Yeah, we did. Somebody give me a scarf, we'll take her.
Now, I don't think Elvis is a shape-shifting alien from outer space. Oh no, I think he's something much different. I think Elvis is an angel. In fact, I think Elvis might be the angel of light. Lucifer, that is, that fallen angel who just happened to be the minister of music in heaven before he was banished for wanting to be worshipped just like God. And if you're an angel and you're banished down to earth because of your pride and your ego, and you just continue to want to be worshipped, and you have the ability to take human form, what better way? Video discretion is advised because all of you ain't ready for this one. Do you remember Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback that would kneel during the national anthems? Yeah, this one. Do you remember him? Well, did you ever notice that he looks an awful lot like that Algerian boxer in the Olympics that's been in the news recently? An awful lot. Even down to a very, very similar, distinct looking nose if you took a little off one of them. But I'm sure they couldn't be the same person, right? I mean, Colin Kaepernick was a male. He played in the NFL, and well, and they would never mock the fact that he was a kneeler. She's really patriotic. But I mean, seriously, they don't even really look alike, not even in the slightest. Especially not when Colin was a little more prepubescent. And I know, they just look alike. Because if they were really the same person, there would be some sort of identifying markers that you would be able to tell that they were the same person really, really easily. And for anyone that wants to say, well, she's only 5'10", and Colin Kaepernick is 6'4". Well, the woman that she fought was 5'8". Now, does that look like a 2-inch difference to you? Because it looks like a good 6 to 8 inches to me. But as I was just getting to call it quits and pat myself on the back and say, job well done, Tyler, I think you got this one. A new horse entered the race. Because while I put some teasers out on this, I got a comment that struck a chord. A comment that said, no, Paul Walker isn't DJ Vance. He's actually Tim Ballard, the creator of A Sound of Freedom. And that resonated with me because I've never felt quite right about that movie. So while I always have an open mind to explore the fact that maybe I'm wrong, I decided to see maybe I'm wrong. And it started to become pretty clear that maybe I did make a mistake. Because their facial symmetries are almost more of a match, and their hairlines were pretty identical. And Paul Walker sure was a handsome guy to turn into someone that looked like Mr. Vance. And again, the more I kept looking, the more I kept finding.
And money and things are going well, road can continue, but there's going to be money and things are going well.
Paul Walker, Tim Ballard. Hard to hide those mannerisms.
Well, road can I might not going to come a time where I might not necessarily be able to fund it. And so, to know that there's, the outside.
Fact check. Algerian women's boxer is not a transgender athlete. Oh, the athlete that looks suspiciously like a certain ex-NFL quarterback that wouldn't stand for a certain national anthem, an awful lot like him. But I'm reaching, bro. This is a little too far. They don't do those things, and they don't even look alike, especially their noses and smiles and mannerisms and postures. And well, they're not similar here. One salutes and the other kneels. But they do share one very, very unique set of birthmarks. It's okay. You'll be all right. I promise. You'll be okay. The world, and especially the TV, is a stage. And the sooner you figure that out, the better off you'll be. Just listen to me. I'm just trying to help. Because unlike some of those other guys out there, I have no agendas. Just care. Care and love about humanity, and I'm sick of seeing us all be deceived. For entertainment purposes, of course. When I do my thing and line them up side by side, they seem to be an almost perfect match. And if we know this is Lucifer, and we know this is Lucifer, and this is the original face of the Statue of Liberty before they replaced it, well then, what are they trying to tell us? Because if you're a fallen angel here on Earth, banished from your heavenly abode, and all you want to do is get people to worship you instead of the Heavenly Father? Well, I haven't seen too many people more worshipped than him. And you know how they like to put the truth right in plain sight. And well, at a certain point, you're not going to be able to be worshipped like you want to be. So you jump ship. And what better ship to jump in than the ship that gets worshipped more than anyone? And well, I already told you how they like to put things in plain sight. This is a post from the man himself. But you guys know this is all for entertainment purposes. You can't really think that I believe in shape-shifting fallen angels that take form of the people that humans worship because they want to be worshipped just like God. Entertainment purposes only, people. And if you guys like my post and you want to help support me and help me bring truth to you guys on a daily basis, consider hitting the subscription button. And have an awesome day. Have you ever seen this video where this guy draws a flat earth diagram and talks about how there's the black hole sun that is projecting light through the center of our realm? And have you ever considered the fact that maybe, just maybe, the northern lights are evidence of this exact phenomenon? You see, I never wanted to give this too much thought or attention because supposedly this is a Masonic idea. But lately, I've seen some things that have opened my mind to it, and I'm going to show them to you. What I want to first make you aware of is the fact that much like there's an Antarctic treaty, there's also an Arctic treaty where you're not allowed to go to the North Pole. And there are 150 countries that have signed this agreement. And yes, you can take a trip or a tour to the North Pole, but it's only going to bring you to Fairbanks, Alaska. And I want you to notice this watery area here. Because on the old maps, there used to be all sorts of land there that all of a sudden doesn't show up on the new maps. And not only is there a treaty to keep you out of that general vicinity, but there is also surveillance set up for thousands of miles around the North Pole. It's called the Dew Line, and it was created in 1958.
This was to build a radar network above the Arctic Circle, a distant early warning line, which would span the North Polar region.
You see, they say it's to detect anyone coming across the globe from, say, Russia. But in my opinion, this dew line that literally circles the entire North Pole is to detect anybody going towards the center. The center where maybe, just maybe, that hole is projecting our reality into the sky. And I'm not insinuating that we're living in a simulation. If anything, it's God's creation and his projection into the sky. But I want to show you evidence now that where we live might be set up very similarly to a planetarium. Because a planetarium is set up where at the center of it, it projects the night sky into a domed screen. A domed screen that looks a lot like this. In fact, this is actually what it looks like. And this is my good friend David Shane, and he has found very similar looking patterns in the dome shape above us. You can see here, these patterns he has found multiple times surrounding the stars. And when you look at them side by side, they're pretty similar. But this isn't even the biggest part of what I want to show you. Oh no, there's much more. Because when you explore how the projector works in these planetariums, well, you'll see.
If you've been to a planetarium any time in the last 2 decades, then chances are it didn't use vector graphics or fancy starballs, but instead looked a bit more like this, using digital projectors. Let me show you something really cool. Can we turn on projector 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, the dome is actually being covered by 5 separate projectors, which each have a corresponding field of view. When setting up a planetarium for the first time, the operator needs to carefully align each of these projections so that they blend together seamlessly.
Seeing how the planetarium works and then seeing videos like this where the sky literally glitches out got me thinking. And believe me, at first I thought this was just refocusing, but I've looked at it a lot. Something happens there. Just like it seems like something's happening there. Nature doesn't form straight lines. something's going on here. And I captured my own very similar phenomenon. Very similar.